Hello, young learners. Welcome back to Nebula Narratives. Today we're going to explore something fascinating, how farmers grow the food we eat and manage crops to ensure we have enough to feed the world. This is your Chapter 1 of Class 8 Science Crop Production and Management. We'll take you through every step, so sit back and let's dive into the world of farming. First, let's understand what a crop is. A crop is a group of the same kind of plants grown on a large scale, usually for food. For example, when farmers grow large fields of wheat, rice or pulses, these are all crops. In India, we grow many different kinds of crops depending on the season and the region. Growing these crops is part of something called agriculture. Agriculture isn't just planting seeds. It's a whole process that involves preparing the land, taking care of the plants as they grow, and finally harvesting the crops. These steps are called agricultural practices. Let's go through each one in detail so you can understand how food gets from the farm to your plate. Step 1 is preparing the soil. Before farmers plant any seeds, they have to get the soil ready. The soil is ploughed, which means it's loosened up to allow air and water to move easily through it. Loosening the soil also makes it easier for plant roots to grow deep into the ground, where they can absorb more water and nutrients. Think of the soil as a sponge. When you loosen it, the sponge absorbs more water, right? It's the same with soil. When it's loose, it holds water better, and that's what helps plants grow. Step 2 is sowing the seeds. Once the soil is ready, it's time to plant the seeds. But it's not just about throwing seeds into the ground. Farmers need to make sure they use good quality seeds and plant them at the right depth and spacing. This ensures that each plant has enough space to grow without competing with its neighbours for sunlight and nutrients. Have you ever seen a field where plants are growing in neat rows? That's because farmers use a special tool called a seed drill to plant seeds evenly. This helps the plants grow properly and makes it easier for the farmer to take care of them. Step 3 is adding manure and fertilizers. Plants, just like us, need food to grow. This food comes from nutrients in the soil, but after growing crops for a while, the soil can run out of nutrients. To fix this, farmers add manure, which is made from animal waste, or fertilizers, which are chemicals rich in nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. However, using too much fertilizer can harm the soil over time. It's a bit like junk food for plants. It works in the short term, but too much of it isn't good in the long run. That's why farmers need to balance their use of manure and fertilizers to keep the soil healthy. Step 4 is irrigation, giving water to the plants. Water is essential for crops to grow, but it needs to be provided in the right amounts. Too much water can flood the crops and too little will dry them out. In the past, farmers used wells, canals and rivers to water their fields. These methods still work, but they can waste a lot of water. Drip irrigation is a modern technique that's much more efficient. Water is delivered directly to the plant's roots through pipes, which saves a lot of water and ensures the plants get just the right amount. Once the crops start growing, they need protection from weeds and pests. Weeds are unwanted plants that compete with crops for water, nutrients and sunlight. Farmers use weedicides to kill weeds. Pests like insects or rats can also damage crops. Farmers spray pesticides to keep these pests away. But here's the tricky part. Using too many chemicals like pesticides can be harmful to the environment. So farmers have to be careful about how much they use. Step 6 is harvesting, the moment farmers have been waiting for. When the crops are fully grown, it's time to cut them down and collect the produce. Farmers use sickles for manual harvesting or harvesters for large fields. After harvesting, the grains are separated from the stalks using a machine called a thresher. After harvesting, the crops are dried in the sun to remove moisture. This is important because if the grains are stored while they're still wet, they can spoil or get attacked by insects. Once they're dry, farmers store them in silos or large containers to keep them safe from pests and moisture. In India, crops are divided into two main types: Kharif crops and Rabi crops. Kharif crops, like rice and maize, are grown during the rainy season, from June to September. They need a lot of water, so they're planted just before the monsoon. Rabi crops, like wheat and mustard, are grown in the winter from October to March. These crops need cooler temperatures to grow well. Farmers don't always grow the same crop in the same field every year. They practice something called crop rotation. For example, after growing a cereal crop like wheat, they might grow a leguminous crop like peas. Why? Leguminous plants help fix nitrogen in the soil, which makes it fertile again, reducing the need for chemical fertilizers. Agriculture doesn't just include growing crops. It also involves animal husbandry, which is the practice of raising animals like cows, sheep and chickens. These animals provide us with milk, meat, eggs and other products. Animal husbandry is an important part of farming, especially for small farmers. That's all for today. Comment what topic you want to learn about. If you understood the concept correctly, then share it with your friends also, and don't forget to subscribe to and like the video.